If you could give an advice to a 10-year-old Marta, what would you say to her?
I think I would say the same that I try to keep myself saying now.
Oh, okay.
That is, everything is gonna be all right. Keep calm,
Okay.
and keep going, and don't. I'm a bit drama queen, you know.
Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. My today's guest is an absolutely amazing and amazingly successful Catalan artist. And she has done everything and she worked with everyone. We have just been saying, like, she did so many interviews and speaking gigs and everything that it will be quite hard for me to find a question, she wasn't asked before. But I will do my best. Marta, welcome to the show.
Hello, Alan. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's definitely my pleasure. I was going through your work in the past couple of days, and there's so many cool things you did, and so many awards you have, and so many speaking gigs you did, interviews. There's so much info, and I couldn't really, focus on one thing, but congrats, first of all, on such a rich career. That's a really good thing.
It's not that much. I think that I've been a long time around, so that's why.
Well, I mean, it might be, but there's so many good and so many cool things. And you are a part of the Type Directors Club and AGI, which is a huge thing. And so that it's really, really a pleasure to have you. But let's start a bit from away from work. We'll touch upon some of your work as well, but how would your friends and family describe you in 3 words?
I think chaotic.
Okay.
Extrovert.
Okay.
And warm, I would say.
Nice. That's a nice one. Okay, perfect. And also, which was really interesting to me, if it gets too personal, you can just shut me down and say, don't go there. But you share quite a connection with one of my previous Spanish guests, with also Catalan, Alex. If you want to talk a bit more about that, you shared quite a lot of things in work and I think personal life.
I mean, at university, Alex and we both studied at the same university, and we met there. I was 1 year below him, although I was a little bit older because I studied psychology first.
Yes.
And we met there, I think it was overworking. We were both there was 2 rooms with computers, and I think it was typical day. There is no one working, and we were both working. What are you doing? Me, I'm doing this. And then it began our relationship there, and then we did many things together.
Okay. Yeah. How was it to work together and be in a relationship as well?
Yeah, a bit difficult. Funny.
Okay.
Very funny. I mean, I remember those times very intense because we shared so many things, and it was all in the same, in a similar direction, no things.
Okay.
So it was very nice. And working together was fun too, but it's difficult to work with someone that you later on you have to discuss who cleans the dishes or who, But I have very good memories of those times. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's what matters in the end, I guess. I'm asking because I was also working with my husband, so I can understand the dynamic.
No?
Yeah. Especially in the creative business, it's not finances or something. So
yeah. But I found that with my partners, with Christian now, I always share everything with him too. I need everyone that surrounds me in a way is involved, but at the end the personal process is super personal. And I think in my case, and I think I cannot speak for Alex, but I think it's the same. It's such a personal and internal path that you use when
Okay.
working that it's difficult. I mean, now he's in a team, so this is super against what I'm
Yeah.
saying. But at least for me, it's difficult to. There is it's a path that you have to do it alone somehow. No, there are moments where you stop and you share, like, hey, what do you think? And someone says, oof, no, I think, have you seen this person or this other work? Maybe it's
Yeah.
there. No, there is like, oh yes, but the voyage you need to make it. You need to make your own fights at the end, you know.
Yeah.
But it's very good to have um, input from the outside. Like I always ask for them.
Okay. Okay. And do you find it easier to work on your own or in a team with someone?
On my own.
On your
Yeah,
own, okay.
yeah, yeah. I have this personality that um, I'm a bit struggling of how I am. Like I'm going to therapy since like I don't know how many years now, but maybe 10 or 15 years.
Okay.
And my main struggle is with boundaries,
Okay.
you know, and then with teams, I always dissolute myself, and no one is like, Marta is like lost somewhere,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
find it difficult to stand up and say, oh, hey people, I think I always like and then on my own and via email, when things are via email and are written, I find myself more like on control, and
Okay.
I can let, I mean, I can fight, I can also let go, but I feel more that I'm controlling the situation. While life situations, a lot of time, personal relations, sometimes overwhelm me in general.
Okay. 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 Yeah, I can totally understand that part.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um
No,
if
there
you
is people that is more born to be a leader, no, and
Yeah,
people that
that's
is
true. And
less.
people that like to work on their own and yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely understand that. You mentioned you've studied psychology but then you figured it's not for you. But did it help you, that part of the studying of human mind? Did it actually help you out later in the career? Was it
yes,
easier?
totally. I don't understand. Like there was this subject that we did. I did it twice. I mean, I made the exam and I passed it. And the next year, I was like not going to classes that I had to go to take this
Okay.
class again. This class was called. The name was Attention and Perception,
Okay.
and we were only studying the physics of optics and about optical illusions, why the cross where the two lines are exactly the same, they don't look the same, what happens when you have two different colors, that you have the retention on
Okay.
your and then when I did study design, I was looking forward to studying this again because it was super fun and so interesting, no? Because you get to know why things happen.
Okay.
And then I also, of course, in psychology, we also studied like op art, like all these things. And then when I went to university to study design, there was no one told us about this.
Okay.
Nothing
Okay.
related to science. And what we do is it also has to do with science. But
Absolutely.
no, history, okay, of course. Anthropology, okay, of course. Geometry, okay. Literature, too, but no science, nothing.
Okay. Okay. So that was quite helpful then.
Yeah, I mean, more than helpful. I mean, I didn't want to study psychology. Yeah? It was because at home they were like, at home they were. they are very conservative or more conservative in terms of no one has heard about graphic design before when I said I want to study.
Okay.
And they told me, you study like something normal and then you
Yeah,
do
like
that
a
thing. Yeah.
regular degree, you go become,
Regular,
yeah,
because that
yeah.
thing that you say probably won't work. So,
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean that part is interesting because I started in civil engineering
oh,
and
really?
yeah. I studied civil engineering. I never finished it because the same for you. It just wasn't who I am, and the creative world was something that attracted me. But yeah, and it was so different, and I'm glad I'm in a creative field right now.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah. It's like a
yeah,
relief, right? Afterwards.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I think, what would have happened if I started first design? Because I was so motivated, like when I started, because
Okay.
I tasted like what I didn't want
Yeah,
to do.
yeah.
Before they was like, no, yes, yes, this has to work. This works. This is me.
Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I was like, and I stayed even longer. I was like almost 5 years in civil engineering.
Wow.
So that was like, but it was just too technical for me. I
Yeah.
needed
So,
something, where you can go and create your own thing without thinking about all the rules and everything.
yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
and then could you bring something about this into type design, for example? No.
Well, yes, actually, because there's a lot of drawing, there's a lot of geometry, there's a lot of, even now, I mean, when I work on typefaces, my husband always says, like, oh, these are too geometrical, there's all straight lines and everything. So
Yeah.
I brought that definitely.
It's because though you have all
Yeah,
the
yeah. I mean, that technical
possible.
part of me, it's there, but I try to, resist a bit, but it's there. Whenever I start, there are perfect lines. There's no, but then I figured, okay, I cannot create all these technical typefaces all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
so yeah, it's fun
Mm.
actually to go against that
Yeah,
and
yeah,
to
yeah. Totally
create.
agree.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
It's like going against your, because everyone has its nature, no? Some people tend
Yes.
to be more fluid, other people tend to be more like this. I'm more like you.
Okay.
My fight also is to be like, for example, when I do calligraphy, um I remember like one specific course workshop that I made, and the last class we had to do a project, and the person next to me, like, she put ink into the ruler, and then she made cla cla, and then she made some letters there, and I was with my ruler like making these lines, everything center,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
super clean. And it's like, why can I not do that? Like, I, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
something so deep inside that you cannot even understand
Yeah,
why some
yeah.
people have tendency towards like or feels comfortable and
That's
in
true.
some shapes and uncomfortable, although you are more attracted to these other
Yeah,
shapes, no?
yeah, that's true. I mean, it seems kind of more fun to create like flowy typefaces and everything, but then I go back to my straight lines for a bit.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I can definitely understand that. Um from all the projects you've done, I mean, is it hard to pick one of your favorites?
No,
No?
no, I think my favorite is the Vogue cover, but because
Okay.
it was like it had so much reward, like people really loved it. This is so nice when you sometimes it's sad because you think, oh, this is so well done and no one likes it, and sometimes
Okay.
things that you think like this is like, well, I'm gonna post it because you need to feed the fucking algorithm,
Algorithm,
and then
yeah.
something that you don't really enjoy, then you have a lot of likes, and then it's always very sometimes not nice. In this
Yeah.
case, I was happy because I was very anxious with this cover to do it. I the process was very um yeah, when it takes a lot of effort and you getting to a point where the reward personally and
Yeah.
and from the outside everything collides into the same, then it's nice.
Okay. I was just looking 10 minutes ago at the cover, and what was the inspiration behind it? How do you, I mean, it would be a dream come true, to make a cover for a magazine and everything. And especially such a big and influential magazine. And it's not just, about fashion. It's about editorial design and, be a part of something like that. But what was your inspiration when you went into that project?
So the thing is that they gave me like totally freedom, do whatever you want. That's always like very tricky because
Well,
like, okay,
it can be.
No, it is, because it's always a longer trip, because you
Okay.
have to start at the very, very, very beginning. I mean, I was like 1 year looking for that cover in other projects,
Oh,
and
okay.
it didn't go out. I had the inspirations, a lot of like the Japanese minimalism period with Iko Tanaka and all these
Oh, okay.
and all these designers, because I went to an exhibition like super nice at the Stedelijk Museum like in 2019 maybe, and I was just like looking and when you try and you have always this
Yeah.
no, because sometimes you get into a place, okay, it's okay, but people don't know where you were wanting to go,
That's true.
and I was frustrated, and I think it was quite fast to do it, but it was because I unlocked something, and because that the brief came on December 2020.
Okay.
So I was super fucked up in December
Oh.
2020. I remember going to work for this cover like on a Saturday with my motorcycle in Barcelona without my helmet and with my mask on. And people was looking at me and I was like, what happens? I'm wearing the mask. Like, what's wrong? Like, people. And I was thinking like, this motorcycle like sounds really strong. Something must be wrong with the motor. Even I stopped, I looked at the motor, nothing. And then it was like, so I was super, that period was super stressful. And but there was this moment of that we were beginning to see the light, like, okay, there's going to come a vaccine in 1 month and maybe we will be able to go out again. And so I had nothing in my mind to express, but I think unconsciously there was this sense of wanting to express, like, now I cannot find the word in English, but resilience, maybe.
Okay.
Resilient, or getting. I wanted to do something optimistical, because everything was so dramatic, and I was so dramatic at the same time. When you are fighting against what we were talking about before, it was the same. I was super fucked up, but I don't know how I came up with this. It was like a positive, optimistic cover, and when I started, I had no idea where I mean, I was going into that Japanese minimal baroque, that you don't know if it's minimal or it's baroque, and that it's very iconic in a way, not because it's simple, but it's not simple.
Yes.
I was looking for that. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's an amazing work, and I loved it, and it's so good. It's pinned on your Instagram, so it's right there, and for everyone to see it. I love that part. But I also found that last year I was living in Barcelona. Yes, and I had no idea until I started the research for you that you actually designed some of the streetlights during the Christmas period.
Yeah.
And I was looking at those things, and and now I'm talking to the person, which is super cool. How did that come up to be? Like, how did you come with the idea? They invited you. What happened?
It was a super long process of a project. Because it started like 2.5 years ago. And they opened a contest to design the lights for the little streets, because for the big streets they usually open a contest with big designers, big names.
Okay.
And this was was less money. It was for the small streets, but I found it like super nice because it was something that wouldn't be there for like 4 years only, and with big names and so on. It was like for the streets and forever, and it gave the opportunity for the streets to have a different. They could choose between the regular lights or new lights. So we wanted to do something that would be super Barcelona, and we wanted something that would be also visible during the daylight, because at night usually, like Christmas lights, they look very good, but at day they look like a tangle of of elements that is like metal and wires. And so I worked with a product designer. We teamed up. Like he's from a studio called Natrang, and we were looking for something more like a lamp. So we were inspired by this, the panot de floor, which is the tiles that are in the floor in the floors of the streets. I don't know how you call the floor of the street, but the floor of the street, which is typical, and yeah, from there we treated that element as a module, and just by taking out petals and putting color into each petal of this flower, we could build typography, or we could build icons that would have something to do with our traditions, no? Because I think, like with Barcelona, it happens like with all the cities and everywhere that has tourism, no, that a lot of the aesthetics are generic aesthetics that could be anywhere, no? And this, I think that silently is a little bit like killing us also, no? Because you feel like defeated in a way, no? Like, like you feel, there is nothing to hang on, no?
Yeah.
And it's a bit sad. So we wanted to also show the tradition in those little icons. So we won, and then after 1 month they canceled the project, and then after a few months they took it again, and then finally it was produced this Christmas.
Okay.
So it was good.
Okay, I loved it, and as you said, it was not just wires and metal, as you said. So that's definitely a super cool thing. You also mentioned traditions, and you are from a small town near Barcelona with your own traditions of castellers, and you. I read that you were thrilled to work on the posters for one of the years. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, the people. Yeah, until I didn't went out of my town, I didn't realize like, okay, it has a lot of like peculiar things. One of the peculiar things is that they do these human towers. These human towers were brought to Catalonia from India, so they are originally from India, but they do it in a different way. It's different how they construct it, but it's the same.
Okay.
In the essence.
Yeah.
So my town, like everyone more or less, is related to these human towers, and everyone does it. When I was like at the high school, I was like, I wanted to do it, but at home they were like, no way, because people get hurt, and I was a girl, and my sister was like, they're gonna grab you. What do you want? Like, which probably would have been true, but I was following them. I had the T-shirt, and I was going every weekend where they went, and I go every year to see them in one of the big days of Castellers.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people there, a lot of people, and they asked me to do the 70. I don't remember. It was a 65 or 70 anniversary poster.
Okay.
Which was like a super honor. Like the last poster has been done by Plensa, so it was like a huge honor for me that they thought of me. And I did this, and then for the Fiesta Mayor, which is like Fiesta Major, like the how would you explain that? Like the parties, the local festivities.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are huge in my town too.
Okay.
And it goes all around this saint, and though people mostly is not religious, but this
Yeah, but
saint is like
everything,
the
yes.
Marilyn Monroe of my town.
Okay.
And then every year someone draws him.
Okay.
Well, so one artist is asked to draw him, and then people has this drawing in their homes for the whole year until the next one.
Oh, wow.
And this has been done since the 19th century. It's been more than 100 years, and so it's like also an honor. It
Absolutely.
was also something. These are like, well, the Castellers now are very known, but the other is like a local projects that for me are more when you know the people and the client and the people who's gonna impact what you do.
Yes.
It's always more rewarding, no, than when you do something for,
Yeah.
I don't know, Coca-Cola. There's going to be somewhere that you don't know and you don't see it. It's always more abstract.
Absolutely. Oh, that's so cool. One of your recent works that I loved is, well, I mean, it's a huge campaign for Haaland and for Nike. That was really cool. How was it to work on that part?
That my husband works at Nike, and
Okay.
he was in that project, and he put me in. So we were working together. This project is totally done with him. He's like a creative director, and I don't know how many logos I did, but maybe more than 300 until we end up with that
Oh,
one.
wow.
Yeah, we made a lot. Most of them were like letterings.
Okay.
And at the end, they said, no. Well, we want to go with our corporative font. And then they were like obsessed that I would find like an Easter egg inside the white letters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like FedEx. But it's
Yes.
like, if
Yeah.
it's there, it's there. But you cannot like really force that.
Yeah.
It's
I
like,
mean, it's
if it's there, it's there. So I was like, looking for arrows like in my dreams. And
yeah.
finally, in that composition we made, that it was like with some letters were smaller and the 9 was bigger. If you carefully look at it, you will find one sense of an arrow in the left side and in the right side.
Yeah.
So that was it.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's one of the biggest projects that I've done. That we were so happy. Our son was like going at school, like
Of
my
course.
parents did the logo for Haaland.
Yeah.
He was
I
like,
can
well,
only
I'm super
imagine
proud.
that part. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, like your parents are superstars and they work with Haaland, and
Yeah, well, we are not superstars, but we worked for Haaland, and that was enough.
That's enough. Yeah. No, that's super cool. You mentioned before that 2020 was a difficult year. I mean, it was, I believe, for a lot of people, especially in Spain, I think. Well, not only in Spain, but especially in Spain. I was at that time here as well, and it was such a shock for all of us, I think. I mean, especially, I can imagine, especially for Spanish people and who have been living here for decades and who have born here in a culture where you go outside as much as you can and where you spend time with other people as much as you can, and then you are locked inside of your house for God knows how many months and how many days, and it was kind of a horror story. But how did your creative life felt at that moment?
So I was in Amsterdam when this happened.
Okay.
So we were living in Amsterdam and we were planning to come back. So we planned to come back on the 11th or 12th or 13th of March.
March. Oh, wow.
Like, yeah, that day. So, but we didn't know
Wow.
anything. Yeah. And so we signed the contract with the rent lease here on that Thursday.
Oh, wow.
Remember Friday?
Yes,
I was
they
like,
locked.
shall we sign it or not? But it was like, yeah, let's sign it, because otherwise we won't have anything. Like, let's sign it. And anyways, we got stuck in Amsterdam, paying two rents, rent
Oh,
in
wow.
Amsterdam and the rent in here. Christian was swapping work jobs. Like, he was starting on Monday at Nike, and then that Friday they told him, like, it's not gonna happen anymore.
Wow.
So now freelance, but not. And I just because in Amsterdam it's not like in Spain that you arrive and haha, I'm here and you can have social security and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
No, there you have to prove that you are there, and then you get that number, and with that number you start paying so that you can do freelance and everything. So on that Wednesday, we put our son out of the school. I put myself out of the freelance activity, everything, internet, everything. So it was like, okay, Monday. Our son, of course, doesn't have school. We don't, like, you don't have a job anymore. Like, we don't have internet. Like, we were paying rent here. Our landlord was kicking us out. He was like, "But where do you want us to
Oh,
go?" Like,
wow.
yeah. He even entered the home. Like, it was like
Oh
all
my
the house
God.
full of boxes. Like, yeah. So I was like, so I had half a day to work. We were like shopping. Like, he worked half a day, I worked half a day. He was super stressed because he was beginning this job like only half a day.
Yeah.
And I began to do like self projects. One I did with Rutger Palouse, that he died like last month. We did like something together for Good Type, and it was fun to work with him. Honestly, it was super fun. Then I did another piece with animation. Like, let's do it. And yeah, I did whatever I could. And then slowly, when we went back in May, slowly, like, I began to have a little bit more projects, but it was slower. It was
Okay.
not. It was a tough. Financially, it was a tough year.
Okay.
No, I guess it
And
was for a lot of people. Yeah.
yeah, and when did you guys move then to Barcelona?
In May,
In May. Okay.
but we couldn't go to the apartment because the apartment had nothing, not a bed, not anything,
Oh, nothing. Okay.
and our things from Amsterdam would take like a couple of months.
Oh,
And we couldn't go
wow.
to IKEA because, if you remember, you couldn't go out of the,
Yeah, yeah, of
remember,
your zone, yes.
zone. So no way to go to IKEA, anything. So my family had this my family house that my family has been living there since 1200. I don't know, super old house.
Okay.
My parents divorced like at 92. So from that moment on, I didn't go to sleep anymore. Maybe once or
Okay.
twice, but the house was abandoned. So, but it was like, okay, let's go there, because it was in the middle of the vineyards.
Okay.
Let's go there. And it was super cool because we had a lot of space. But the first day we found bats like in the room,
Oh,
like a
wow.
nest of eagles in the bath, um, rats in the kitchen. But it was super cool. Huh? We had so much fun. The three of us, like, we remember that we had to come back in June, and we didn't. We waited until the school began, so we stood there for like 4 months.
Okay.
We remember it as a happy, because it was so big and we were in the middle. We didn't have to wear like mask, anything. We could walk. And I think
Yeah, yeah.
that people that were in this kind of rural environments were like, yeah,
Like, yeah.
this is life.
Yeah, yeah. No, I can imagine. At that moment, I was in a like 45 square meters apartment with my husband in the center of
Whoa,
Madrid.
whoa! And Madrid
Yeah.
was fun.
Yeah. And it was, I mean, as you said, you had like kilometer rounds, like
Yeah,
border where you can go, streets where you cannot go. And it was so, so weird. And especially those 2 months. I mean, luckily we had an exterior apartment and there was a lot of light and we could open the
terrace.
windows.
Oh, okay, okay. But
But
sun, no? Yeah.
yeah, there was a lot of sun, and we had a small balcony and everything. But it was so hard, like 2 months not going except to the store. Like that was really, really, well, crazy time.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think that being from like you must have your family not living
no, not in Madrid.
you are
No,
from
no.
Croatia,
From Bosnia, yeah.
from Bosnia.
Yeah, yeah.
This is even tougher because it's like, how
Yeah,
is
it's just
your
the two of
family
us. It
like?
was me and my husband. And I mean, I joke about it because we never saw as many movies as we did during those
Yeah.
2 months. Like every evening was a movie night. We would make some popcorn. We would, and it was, I mean, you try to find some fun things to actually survive the horror that is
Yeah.
happening. Because
Mm,
if someone like said to any one of us, okay, in 2 months you will be like locked down
yeah.
completely, half of the world.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
mean, it was unimaginable when it
No, it
started.
wasn't imaginable. Even like I remember 3 days before that Friday, like on Wednesday, we made a goodbye party with all our friends in Amsterdam.
Oh, wow.
And my brother from Spain, whose wife works as a doctor in one of the important hospitals here, called me and he said, "Okay, this is going to hit hard. Please, can you take care of my daughters if we die?" And I was like, fuck, and I was
Oh,
laughing, like,
wow.
"What are you saying? Like, but you're crazy?" And he's like, "Please promise me." Like, he's fucking crazy.
Wow.
And I went to the bar, like, "You see what my brother has said? Like, these people that." And then on Friday, was like,
Yeah, yeah.
like, well, this is happening.
Yeah, it was, I mean, the night before we went into lockdown here, I was with my husband and some friends having beers in a bar. And like, we talked, oh, there's that virus, it's something, but and then just like that, you cannot go outside of your house. And that was horrible. I mean,
Yeah.
and a really tough for, I mean, it's true that we creatives do a lot of things online and everything, but even that doesn't really help, because you have that feeling of being locked down and like literally not being able to go outside or
Yeah.
even
Yeah, you sometimes think
go.
when I explained to my son because he really had a lot of fun, like
Okay.
he was like, yeah, because we were, I mean, we were taking a lot of effort so that he was not like, well, anyway.
Yeah.
And I think maybe he will think like, oh, it's super cool. Like, why do you complain? You stood like, well, what, like 2 months, like inside your home with nothing to do. Like, fuck. But it was
That's
so,
perfect, right?
yeah, if you think of it, it's like, yeah, but it's the uncertainty of what's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you had to pay the rent, you had to pay everything. And how am I going to pay it? Like, if projects get canceled, and how can I work now? Like,
Yeah, yeah, it was
oh
such
my
a
God.
such a weird time, but I mean, you had in some part luck that you were living in that
Yeah,
house and no masks. I remember like, oh my God, you have to wear that mask all the time and all the time. But
horrible. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But what really surprised me, my mom is living in Germany, and I will say something about Germany that maybe my German listeners will not like, but they always say, Germany is like they like to go by the rules and everything and stuff. But I've found that at that period of our lives, at that moment, Spanish people actually were so responsible about masks,
Mm.
so responsible about the distance, unlike what my
Yeah.
mom told me in Germany. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
And
so,
I have
so
to say, in the
different.
Netherlands, it was the same, huh?
Okay.
Like our landlord, like got in, and then even with the neighbors, like we had a very good relationship with the neighbors. That they sometimes they were bringing the kids downstairs, and it was like, no way, like no, no, like let's
Yeah,
not have
yeah.
like a party with kids here because and it's not the moment. Like not
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Um, and yeah. Yeah. I was super freaked out because of that too, because we didn't have social security, and I was like, if we get sick, we are illegal immigrants now. Like we are going
Um,
to get into the bottom line if everything is collapsed, which was collapsed. So I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
no way, we cannot get sick now.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
And everyone was like looking at Spain, like, Spanish are like the worst, like Chinese and Spanish and Italians are like a little bit from Northern Europe, were like looked down as they are like. There was a bit of weird things.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
No, I mean, I have to. I was really surprised because everyone was really respecting the rules and, not going outside when you can't. And it was so, you
Yeah.
know, I mean, a lot of times people will say, oh, Western Europe, it's Germany and France, but they somehow, I don't know why, forget
Mm.
Spain because maybe it's south and everything, but to
Yeah.
me, it's kind of a definition of Western Europe, the Spain and the way Spanish people actually, do things. It's
Yes, Alan, but we were the only ones that we had the militaries in the streets, like putting people like saying, "Hey, you home!" And I this from Spain. This is something I don't like. I think you can tell that we come from a dictatorship because
okay.
the government is so paternalistic. It's like, please, like give room. Even if people don't do it right, it's on their own responsibility. And sometimes I feel here we are treated like little children while when you go to Germany or the Netherlands or other countries, the government is not so over the top on the such is your
Okay.
responsibility. But I understand that at that moment there was I think here it was too much how the government the restrictions that they made, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. This
It
is
was
very
quite strict.
delicate. I'm not a scientist, so but
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And how did you creatively get out of that space and get back to your work and get back to yourself? Was it hard to actually even start working and when
after
you
the
are
COVID,
yeah,
you mean?
yeah.
Yes, because we moved back, and then I was urgently looking for a studio with other people.
Oh, okay.
I needed because after having my son and living in LA, I was also like, well, in LA, I shared the studio for a little bit. But I was like, since my son was born, working at home alone, and then all this pressure of not meeting people, and then when we were back, that was in September 2020 in Barcelona. Um, I met some people like Mark Urtasun and other people that I liked what they were doing, and I asked them like, "Hey, do you want to share studio?" They were yes. So and we didn't know each other, but it was super nice. And so we
Okay.
looked for this studio, and for me, it was like, like seeing people doing different things from mine, and hearing new stories. And they were like way younger than me, explaining like things that me I was with my family problems.
Okay.
And this was like super like fresh air,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
changing of and going back because I had been away for many years, so it was like, yeah, nice.
Okay.
I think having my own space and out of home was good for me.
Was good. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean I can imagine that and relate to that part. Um Now off to something else. Throughout your career, you kind of you tried not to get labeled as, I don't know, a typographer only or a type designer, or you actually always presented yourself as a graphic designer, even though you were at some certain points working on lettering. But why is that? Why do you? I mean, what was the reason for that?
I think it was not conscious, but for example, at the beginning of the career, it was almost like a survival thing to design my own a logo, I designed the letters.
Okay.
It's like a catalog for Roca, the bathrooms. I'm
Yes.
gonna make the illustrations, so we don't need to make. We don't need to ask anyone. It was a matter of survival. Afterwards, I think that like in the 60s, in the 70s, even in the 80s, like designers were doing all these things, right? It was
Yes.
afterwards that everything began to be more specialized. And I think that a graphic designer, maybe it's an old school thought, but should have all this general view, but also should not be only an art director, but a crafter. Like an art director is something else, I am a crafter, and I need the need. I need to take part on all these different sides of graphic design.
Oh, that's interesting. You also published a book that was kind of, the title is a bit interesting. Surviving Design.
Yeah.
Why that title and how did it come to be? And
The title came at the very end. We said it would be good design at the beginning, and the editor liked it a lot. But it was the name of the first chapter, which then it was erased and changed to a different name. But at the very end, it was like, no, this is not about good design. It's nothing about a statement or something like that. It's a little bit of a statement, but I'm not judging. It's not about good design. And then looking at all the chapters, because I tried to tackle all the big things, all the big topics in design, like the tools, the laws of order, the contradictions, memory, like history. And I found that in every chapter there is a struggle and there is a fight, and it's there is always a fight. And we are now in a moment where this book, the editorial, this editorial doesn't this publishing house doesn't publish design books at all. These are it's inside collection that it's about philosophy
okay.
and never about design. But they asked me, they said, we are now in a crucial moment where it's important that we remember ourselves what design is. And yeah, there is this sense of achievement, of surviving something, no, and we are, I think, in a moment where we need to fight to for our place here, and we have to fight for it. And I think that it's not for us, but for the society in general. I think we are the only ones, like, because when I started working, like, there was something that really I struggled with, and that no one talks about this at university. When I began working, you found out that um, that the aesthetics part of design a lot of times is in the hands of marketing people. Marketing has studied which is the aesthetic that serves better to selling, which is our goal, no, at the end, and they know better than us. And then there's this other column of design. So we have form and content. There's this other part, there's this content, which is strategy, that I found myself like, okay, strategy, some other person that is called a strategist is doing the strategy for me and is giving me to do whatever this person thought, and he's giving me 3 days to come up with something. Has no sense for me, this, because these both things should not be separated. It cannot be separated, because if they are split, they only look for, like, benefits, and people is not stupid. You can tell clearly when a campaign is only looking for numbers and data and and we are the only ones in this wheel that we have more humanist approach, I think, because we have part of us is also an artist, even if a lot of us we deny it. We have the sensibility of the artist, we have the craft of an artisan, we have the skepticism of a scientist, we have the sharpness of an engineer. We have a very polyedric profile that is really needed today if we don't want to end up in a world where we are not able to even breathe, you know. And that's the purpose of the name of the title of the book.
Oh, that's really, really good, and a really good perspective. And it's good to know the meaning, really, why the title. I was
It can look pessimistic, but it's actually optimistic. It's kind of a joke. When you end up reading the book, then it's like, you know.
Okay. And one a bit kind of a controversial thing you said in your previous interviews, and you actually find is that Comic Sans is such a beautiful typeface. I've read that. Tell me more about it. Why do you find it? I mean, it's always true that when you have a typeface, it really depends how it will be used. So that's not up to designer of the typeface. But how do you find Comic Sans?
I mean, this statement, it's supposed to be, I mean, I said it in a very big newspaper here for the general public. Okay. It wanted to be like a punch in the face. Okay. The history here is that I was hating Comic Sans. And then I was going to this Congress of Typography in Valencia that took place for many years. Now it's not there anymore. But I think it was 2004. I think it was 2004 that Vincent Conner went there to give a talk. And I was still in the last year of university. I think I went with Alex there. And I was like, let's go see this guy. What will he, the typical, you're studying, you think that, blah, blah, blah. You're going to see Vincent Conner like in an attitude that it's like absolutely not the correct one. And it was such lesson what he made in the stage, like, because he arrived like some days before to Valencia, and he just took photos of Comic Sans in the streets, finding the wild. And he found it in the police saying, be careful, in Comic Sans, I don't know, banks, like such places. They were like, oh no, this was not supposed to be this, no? When I got asked to design this, it was supposed to be in children or in comic context. So when I say this, I say it mostly not for the design community, which I think we understand perfectly that Comic Sans, well, it's Comic Sans, but when I said it in this specific newspaper, because it was like, okay, this is not about the type, it's about how we use the type and in what context do we use type, no? Because you wouldn't say to someone that, hey, your mom has died, no, you say it in a tone that it's like, no, and you cannot say things that are like serious in a Comic Sans tone. No, and that's
Apart from the projects we mentioned as your favorite ones and for the Castellers, can you pick a project that you, I mean, maybe not a project, but did you have those situations where you actually had to work on something and you didn't really like the client or the brief, or how do you manage those situations? I mean, everyone in our lives, you mentioned hard situations during COVID, and you just have to accept some projects, it's not always butterflies and flowers and everything. How do
No.
you manage those?
That's like one chapter of the book, because I think this is something very important. Like, I don't think someone from marketing or from strategy, maybe yes, but I think in general, these are profiles that don't, and we designers, we have a lot of these limits, no, that ourselves we say, okay, let's 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 put like this red line and do not
Yeah.
cross here, no. Yes, I've crossed this line. I've crossed this line. And I think the biggest crossing I did, it was at the beginning. So when I began freelancing, the first year, 2 years were ultra mega tough, super tough. And I think it was during the first months, like this an agency came to me asking, it was a pitch for a brand to do the, for a tobacco brand to do the
Oh, okay.
box. And my aunt, which was like, she's dead now, but she was like a second mother to me, or like a father to me. She had been diagnosed with a cancer that would kill her like in 2 months. I had a lot of asthma and I was smoking like it was like, okay, I know what this is doing, but I did it anyway. And it was a pitch. It was just so like, it was even a pitch, but I got like more or less, it was paid, so it was okay. So I did it. And the funny thing was that it didn't go out because the pitch didn't go well. And like, okay, I went out with my life, like at least I didn't win. So it was like, I charged the money,
Okay.
it's not gonna go out, so you can sleep good, you know.
Okay.
And then after 6 years or 5 years, I don't know how much, I go into I was still smoking, and I went to buy tobacco, and I found my illustration, like a copy, like a photocopy for another brand.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, okay, this is life giving me a punch in the stomach, like, don't do this with
Yeah,
these
yeah.
people. And because, no,
Okay.
like, this is
Okay.
karma.
Yeah. Well, might be. And well, did you stop in the meantime?
I stopped in 2020. I mean, I stopped many times. For years, I stopped for 4 years, then I went back, and now,
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good. That's what matters.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, off to a bit more fun. Um, how would your son describe you in
Uy,
three
what a
words?
question. Oh, we should ask him.
Well,
I don't know. I think he would say pesada, which is
okay.
how would you say that in
Yeah.
in English?
Well, it's a difficult to explain it in English. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm very playful. I think I'm a
Okay.
fun mom,
Okay.
but sometimes too intense mom.
I think
Intense,
every mom is
playful.
like,
No, but I have an only son.
okay.
This is
A new level. Okay.
a new level of, yeah. You only know it, I think, when you, yeah. And I don't know. I don't know. I think
No.
pesada is one.
Pesada is the best word.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, pesada.
Well, we'll let people Google it and translate the word
Yeah.
for themselves because it's not easy to translate that in English.
Mhm.
And I mean, we are already past an hour mark, and I know you have a lot of work and everything, and I don't want to keep you too much. It was such a lovely conversation,
It
but
was nice. This time.
I have one more question for you. Um, if you could give an advice to a 10-year-old Marta, what would you
Huh.
say to her?
I think I would say the same that I try to keep myself saying now.
Oh, okay.
That is, everything is gonna be all right. Like, keep calm. Like,
Okay.
and keep going and don't. I'm a bit drama queen, you know?
Okay.
And I tend to, from one thing like this, whoa, I mean, I think I'm very resilient and I'm a fighter. Don't
Okay.
misunderstand, but my fights are like dramatic and
Okay.
Wagnerian, like, you know, keep it down, like
Keep it
tranquila.
down. It will be fine.
Tranquila, yeah.
Okay.
Chill.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Oh well, that's cool. That's really good.
Yeah, but this is like a day struggle, huh, I think.
Okay. So even nowadays, like it's still
Yeah.
okay. Okay. Well, that's a good advice then for the rest of the year, for today, and just yeah. Well, Marta, thank you for
You're
being
welcome,
here
Alan.
today, for taking your time. I really had a lovely conversation. It was really nice. And so many things to learn and so many things to actually absorb from you and from your work. It's a beautiful thing. And I'm glad that we touched on some subjects that are not only work related. So that was really good.
Yeah, me too. It's nice. It's a different kind of interview, which is nice. It's also nice to see.
Yeah.
I mean, as a viewer, it's really, it's refreshing. It's nice.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for being here. And I hope we'll have a chance to meet. We are not that far, you know, and
no, say something if you come to Barcelona.
Yeah, absolutely. I will definitely let you know. Well, thank you once again, and bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, Alan.